Hey guys, so yesterday was the third edict launch, and oh my gosh, thank y'all so much for your support. We had so many people come hang out, talk, ask questions, just goof around, whatever, right? I think at its peak on both Twitch and YouTube combined, we had like 800 viewers or something like that, 800 plus. That's like more than I've ever had. So thank y'all so much for coming and hanging out and for all the subs and everything. By the way, I stream every single day on twitch.tv/misoxshiru. So I'd love to see you guys there as I go through my journey on the third edict. But while we were doing that stream, a lot of people had questions about Hollow Palm. And the one question that kept coming up was, what is the best ascendancy for Hollow Palm? Should I go Chayula? Should I go Invoker? Or should I go Deadeye? And you guys picked those three out, and I would say that those are definitely three of the top classes for the Hollow Palm Monk. So I wanted to go over today what I think is the best ascendancy for Hollow Palm and talk about the ones that I think are the best, but also maybe slightly go over the ones that I think are not so good, just at a high level. So in front of me is a tier list that I made on Mobalytics with every single ascendancy ranked within their tier, though I am missing Gemling, and the reason why I don't have Gemling on here is because I just want to talk about him last, so I'm not going to put him on here until later. But as you can see right now, the top tier is going to be Deadeye. So I actually think that Deadeye is the best ascendancy for Hollow Palm, but it does come up with its caveats, and I will explain, right? I think Deadeye is the best, and it is going to be followed by Invoker and Chayula Monk. Not necessarily because I think Deadeye has the highest ceiling or Invoker has the highest ceiling, but I just think that they lend themselves to the Hollow Palm playstyle the best. And also, in certain ways, they are kind of the best league starters for Hollow Palm, which is very important in its current phase right now. But first off, Deadeye. The reason why I think Deadeye is the best Hollow Palm ascendancy is because of what it provides for its ascendancy skills. So if we go over to Deadeye right now, I think that Deadeye has some really strong points for Hollow Palm. First off, it has to be Tailwind. So as y'all probably know, Tailwind is a buff that you get as a Deadeye that grants three things: movement speed, skill speed, and evasion. Those are extremely powerful for survivability, especially in this league where I think a lot of defenses have gotten nerfed overall. So having Tailwind is extremely strong for that. And on top of the survivability that the evasion gives, you also get damage reduction per Tailwind stack, which means that every time you get hit, even though you're dodging a lot of times, right? When you do end up getting hit, you will be taking less damage, which is extremely powerful, especially when combined with the fact that we have deflection this league, which is another mitigation method for evasion characters. So this in itself leads to the Hollow Palm playstyle being pretty strong, especially being a melee character. You do want to have those layers of defenses. So that is the first reason why. The second reason why, and probably one of the main reasons why I do think that this is a very strong class for the Hollow Palm playstyle, is because of this right here, Called Shots. It gives you a skill called Called Shots, which basically applies a mark on an enemy just automatically when they're near you. Now there is a cooldown, so you can see right here, it applies one socket mark to an enemy every 5 seconds within 4 meters. Now, while I think most people thought that this was going to be way stronger than it actually is, and a lot of people are actually choosing to not use this node, I think that for Hollow Palm Monk, this is one of the strongest nodes for Deadeye for them. Now, the reason for that is because most people using Hollow Palm are using charged staff. And with that, you are going to need power charges. Now, most people are using Charge Frenzy to generate power charges combined with Resonance, but unfortunately, Charge Frenzy has quite a long cooldown. But while Charge Frenzy is very strong while mapping, it's actually extremely weak while bossing because of the fact that you can't consistently freeze bosses quickly enough. And that causes your power charges to drop down to 0, and you're no longer going to have your charge staff available and ready to go. But that is where Called Shots comes in, because Called Shots allows you to apply a mark to an enemy every 5 seconds. This means that when your Charge Frenzy is not working, you can rely on Called Shots and Sniper's Mark to keep up your power charges while you are 1v1ing bosses. This is extremely valuable, and no other class gives this to you. Now, on top of that, you also get critical weakness from Bullseye. This means that you don't have to build as much crit onto your character when you are thinking about it from a bossing standpoint. So yeah, that is why I think that Deadeye is going to be the best overall class for the Hollow Palm playstyle, mainly because of one, Tailwind, giving you a lot of what you need, but two, you get the called shot skill and bullseye to really synergize with your ability to 1v1 against bosses. Now, with that, let's move on to the next classes. We have the Invoker and the Chayula Monk. Now, while both of these are very strong ascendancies for the Hollow Palm playstyle, I would say that they're definitely not as strong as Deadeye as an overall class. Of course, I think potentially damage ceiling of both of these are going to be higher than the Deadeye class, but just overall comfort, overall as an experience, I do think that Deadeye is going to be better than the Invoker and the Acolyte of Chayula. But if you want to compare one ascendancy versus the other, I wouldn't necessarily say that there is one that is a clear-cut definitive, this is the better ascendancy for Hollow Palm technique. I would say that each of these have their own strengths and weaknesses that make one better in certain situations compared to the other. So let's start off with the Invoker Ascendancy. To me, the Invoker Ascendancy is going to be the best Ascendancy in the Monk class for League starting Hollow Palm. And the reason for that is because it gets a lot of things for free. So if we take a look at the Ascendancy itself, we can take a look at this, right? Lead me through grace. This node allows you to get Spirit for energy shield and evasion that you have on your armor. This is extremely powerful for a League starter, especially for Hollow Palm, because Hollow Palm scales directly with energy shield and evasion. So the more energy and shield and evasion you get on your character for your body armor, the stronger your class gets, but also the more spirit you get from the Ascendancy. So very, very much a hand-in-hand relationship there. But on top of that, spirit is a very expensive stat to get, especially at the beginning of the league. So that is why it is way cheaper to run Invoker compared to any other Ascendancy for this playstyle. And again, that is a really good thing to have as a League starter. The next thing is going to be this right here, Sunder My Enemies. So the Monk playstyle, the Quarterstaff playstyle, uses a lot of elemental-based attacks. As a result, this directly synergizes again with the Hollow Palm Monk playstyle, because whenever you crit an enemy, it ignores the elemental resistances, which means you get a huge damage buff. This is very, very good. Again, free damage, free things that you get without spending a single penny. And that is why the Invoker is going to be the best League starter for the Monk class. But in addition to that, we also get Meditate. This allows you to overflow your energy shield, which is a huge area of survivability that you're going to get, but also it allows you to heal your energy shield on command, which is something that not every single class will get. And that will improve your survivability by a ton. But when we talk about energy shield and healing it, we then go over to Chayula, which gets energy shield leech, which in my opinion is definitely way better than Meditate, because this is something you get to use while you are mapping and you don't have to stop attacking to get it. Now, this is something that you're going to have to combine with Essentia Sanguis, which is an item, a unique item that you have to buy in order to make it work. But on top of that, because it only does it off of chaos and physical damage, it likely means that you'll also have to buy the original Sin, which is an item that converts your elemental damage to chaos damage, in order to make this work out at its best. Now, we do get chaos damage from Inner Turmoil and also into the Breach, but at the same time, it's not that much chaos damage. So you will want to have those two items at a minimum to really make the Chayula class work. And that is why I don't think it's the best League starter for a Monk for the Hollow Palm playstyle, because it's so item dependent. You need items and you can't always guarantee those items. If you're one, of course, solo self-found, but even in trade, those items might be expensive. And I definitely expect both those items to be expensive as League. So if you're not able to afford those items, you're never going to hit the ceiling of this class, which is likely going to be a little bit higher than the Invoker, but again, it's just way harder to get to. So it's not as good of a League starter, but again, it is going to have a higher ceiling and a better mapping experience at the end of the day. And that's why I think that these two classes aren't necessarily going to be competing with each other for the top spot, but they both kind of just share that top spot in the Monk class for different reasons with the Hollow Palm technique playstyle. Now, I'm not going to go over in detail every single one of these characters on this list, but I'll go over them quickly, right? I think Amazon is also really good because you can do a lot of accuracy stacking and attack speed stacking, which could be a lot of fun and pretty strong. It also has the ability to, again, leech off of elemental attacks, so you'll be able to leech your HP and keep that HP up while you're mapping, which is nice. Now, Ritualist, I think, is just a strong class for pretty much any playstyle. It can make anything work, but you need a lot of funding. Your class is as good as your money, so the better rings you have, the better accessories you have, the more money you have, the stronger the class. And again, that is why it is an A tier, just because it's just strong at everything. Witch Hunter I have here in B, just because, I don't know, there is a lot to the class that I just don't know about. The extra 100 weapon set points is just an area that provides so much flexibility and the potential to really be one of the best classes in the game. But it's as good as your brain is. So it really depends on people and whether or not they're going to be able to theory craft some crazy synergies between Hollow Palm and another weapon or not. So that's why I put it in here in B, because I just kind of don't know. It could go up depending on whether or not somebody has a crazy theory crafted build, or go down if nobody ever comes up with one, right? So that is why I have it in B. Infernalist and Blood Mage have very strong crit damage scaling, but unfortunately, that's kind of all they have. And in my opinion, Blood Mage kind of has to spend way too many points to get to the crit damage anyways. So you're kind of wasting a lot of points on your Ascendancy. Pathfinder has some nice universal stuff with like extra skill points and like being able to use your HP potions and overheal and things like that. But overall, it doesn't really have anything that really synergizes with the class itself. But again, doesn't really like have nothing, right? So it's decent and it's on a decent part of the tree. But when you talk about parts of the tree, the Titan / the Warrior class is just way too far from the Hollow Palm node. And as a result, they're going to be probably one of the worst classes to play the Hollow Palm playstyle with. Now, Titan as an Ascendancy is really strong, so I'm just going to put this here in C instead of D for that reason, but you still don't really want to play it because it just takes way too much to path over to Hollow Palm, and as a result, again, Warbringer and Kitava are just not very good for that. And then here we have the Spellcasters with Lich, Stormweaver, and Chronomancer. Again, Spellcasters, not very good for Hollow Palm, in my opinion. Their Ascendancy nodes just are mostly for spells. And with Tactician, I say is more of a totem playstyle, so you don't really want to use that either with Hollow Palm. So those at a high level are the other classes. Now, I mentioned that Gemling is the one that I left off of this, and that's because I actually think Gemling is a dark horse and is actually an S tier class for Hollow Palm. The reason why is very simple, and it's really because of one thing, and that's because Gemling has the ability to scale gem levels. As you can see, when we go to the Gemling Ascendancy, it has this right here, Implanted Gems, which allows you to make your skills of a certain color +2 to skill level, which is insane for Hollow Palm. Because Hollow Palm not only scales off a skill level normally like every other class does, but because of the fact that you use Hollow Palm, and Hollow Palm has a line in there that says physical damage increases with skill level. So you're double scaling your class with this specific node. And with the fact that you don't have a weapon, it's actually impossible to reach level 40 skill gems, which means that you can never really reach the ceiling without that. And that makes Gemling the ceiling class for this playstyle. Gemling will be dealing for sure the most damage out of every single class for Hollow Palm just because of this node right here. And that's why I think that it just instantly shoots us up to S tier, because I just think that the ceiling is its highest. And if you want to go for damage, which is what most people want to do, you pick Gemling. The other things right here are kind of whatever, right? Stat stacking can be a thing. Again, same with the Amazon. You could do some really fast attack speed build, or you could even go over here with integrated efficiency and just get more skill speed as well. And pick this up here, which movement speed penalty from skills on moving is kind of not really existent unless you're using, I guess, Storm Wave. So yeah, that is why I actually think that Gemling is going to be S tier along with the Deadeye. And again, Invoker and Acolyte of Chayula following up shortly afterwards. Hopefully this makes sense. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree with my assessment, or do you disagree with it? Let me know down in the comment section below. And as always, if you enjoyed this type of video, the best way to let me know and also support the channel is by hitting that subscribe button. It is completely free and it helps me out a ton. But I also stream every single night on twitch.tv/MesaShiru, so I'd love to see you guys there. But if not, hopefully I see y'all on the next video. All right, guys. Peace.